What's good, everybody? It's Todd Smith here, alongside my boy Dale Clifford from Fernley, Nevada, for another episode of the No Gimmicks Podcast, coming fresh off of the Battleground pay-per-view presented by the WWE. Both brands being present tonight. Dale, what's good, my man? What's your thoughts so far?
You know what? I was pleasantly surprised by Battleground. I was going in kind of thinking it was a throwaway pay-per-view. It delivered some good matches. And at the end, I was just glad that it was anybody but Roman, because that, to me, would have tanked the pay-per-view.
Yes, much agreed. Very solid show tonight, I'd say, pretty much from top to bottom. First, we're going to start off discussing the triple threat title match here for the WWE title between Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. Returning Roman Reigns from off of a suspension. It was for Adderall. Am I not correct on that, Dale?
I do believe that's what it was for. I'm not 100% sure if that was official or if that's just kind of the speculated result.
Okay.
Which I'm pretty sure is an accurate speculation, but nothing official.
Yeah, as we saw, Roman came back from his suspension, a little bit more facial hair than the last time that we saw him. Seems to be about the same, size, same shape and everything. Didn't really show too much ring rust or anything, pretty much looking just as average as he did before in the ring, before he was sent on his suspension. And of course, Dean and Seth were in tip-top shape, and they brought it, tonight and put on a pretty solid, affair out there. I think it was a pretty decent amount of offense from all three guys. We saw Dean go over with his dirty deeds kind of in a sneaky way as well. It was kind of interesting there how he kind of, just kind of snuck in there after Roman had, made the pin attempt on Seth Rollins there. He just kind of pulled him off and laid him out with the double underhook DDT.
Yeah, I kind of like how they weaved in some Shield moments where the first attempted double team powerbomb, which Roman kicked out of, and then obviously the successful one of putting him through the table. So it was just kind of nice that they paid some respect to these guys' past as the Shield members.
Definitely. I mean, I barked for the power bomb that Roman took through the Spanish announce table. I like that a lot. Also, the fact, like I said, that Dean and Seth were kind of like, we know who the bigger threat is here, so we know what we have to do. We got to at least kind of slow this guy down a little bit, in order to have a chance for them to actually walk away with the title. So. Yeah, pretty solid main event. The show ran extremely long tonight. The show actually lasted close to, almost about 3.5 hours, didn't it?
It was 8:15. Yeah, so I wouldn't say 3.5. I would put it at maybe 3:15 at least.
Okay, yeah, and of course they had the little celebration with all the talent from the SmackDown roster. It came out, and kind of it shows how important SmackDown Live is going to be to WWE right now. Basically, that they're going to have the WWE title.
Very much so. Had either Roman or Ambrose won, SmackDown would have been left with just the Intercontinental Championship. So very big that Ambrose was able to win. Now, I was kind of putting the finishing touches on our rundown for the show, so I didn't quite see Seth's entrance, but I believe he's kind of in the typical vest that he normally wears, just because I know I had made the comparison that he looked like Suburban Commando.
From Suburban Commando. It was funny because when you actually brought that up, Dale, I said to myself, whom are you comparing him to? Suburban Commando, the movie with Hulk Hogan and Taker from back in the, I think it was back in the 90s, or were you referring to him as the tag team? The indie tag team that we knew from our time out there in the indie circuit out there in Nevada, the Suburban Commandos.
Nope, I was going with the Hulk Hogan route.
Okay, because I said because if Roman Reigns actually came out wearing the do-rag, he sports that almost kind of like bulletproof vest, kind of similar to what those guys wore to the ring. I thought maybe you were possibly going there with that. But anyhow, we also got to see the return of Randy Orton, who has not been on screen since October of last year.
9 months.
Off
9 months.
Shoulder surgery. Yeah, that's a long time out. It really is. Like for a while there, I think people had almost kind of, forgotten about Randy.
And I love his little jab at Jericho that his comeback match is Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam as opposed to Jericho's comeback match was Fandango at WrestleMania.
Yes, and I mean, Orton had jokes tonight, okay? He poked fun at Jericho's hairstyle, comparing him to Ellen DeGeneres, which I thought was good stuff. And, of course, he had to take a cheap shot at Brock for Brock's recent suspension that was dished out to him by the UFC. He said something along the lines of, like, no enhancements needed. And I just said, okay, he went there. He went there. I mean, we had to figure somebody was going to poke, some sort of fun at Brock for the suspension. So, yeah, I thought that was good stuff. Nice little interaction between the two.
Oh, yeah. And then, it was like, obviously, we know what Jericho can deliver. He's going to put everybody over.
Yeah.
And he helped feed Orton some stuff, and Orton showed why he's been around so long.
Yes, and of course Orton, teased the RKO before he actually, followed through with it and left Jericho laying on the mat before he exited, the highlight show. But anyhow, moving on to Enzo and Cass and Cena versus the final match of this incarnation of the club, as we know it, because with the recent draft and everything. The club has they've been moved over to the Raw roster, and AJ Styles is actually going to be on SmackDown. As we know, Finn got drafted from NXT up to Raw, and we all know the history between Finn Balor from his time over in New Japan Pro Wrestling when he was Prince Devitt, and his time in the ring with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. So yeah, this was the last time we're gonna get to see this version of the club against Enzo and Cass. What was your thoughts on this, Dale?
It was a very good match. It was interesting knowing that we had the club's final days together, as well as also the Wyatt family's final night together, and then how the club's match followed the Wyatt family's match. Obviously, we can touch on that a little bit later, but with the result that the Wyatt family had, you were wondering if the club was going to get the same result in being able to go out on top. But what this kind of does, though, it gives you now John Cena's got the one over on AJ Styles.
Yes,
AJ Styles has got the one over on John Cena, and we can move forward now to SummerSlam, maybe to for them to settle the whole thing.
That'll be the tiebreaker. That will be the tiebreaker.
I also do know, real quick though, AJ Styles had, I don't know if you'd seen it, had sent out the tweet saying that the club wasn't ending; they were just expanding. So we'll see what that. So we'll see what that goes with there, because obviously he's the guy that is all by himself on SmackDown. I don't know if he's going to add more people to it, and then we see the club across both brands.
I would not be surprised by that. And it's funny because that's one angle that I never thought of, is the possibility that they might actually have a different version of the club on both brands. What would it be to say that they have a version of the club on Raw of composed of Finn and Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, and then AJ adds some new members over there on SmackDown.
Yeah.
To have his back. Yeah. It very well could happen. I mean, with the amount of talent that WWE is bringing in from over there in Japan nowadays, what's to say that they don't go and grab a few members from the Bullet Club?
Yeah, right. It's like, and obviously we know how many members that the Bullet Club has. It's like they have so many different aspects, because obviously we have Bullet Club Elite, which is Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, and then I think there's a couple other members, but that's just the thing. Is the Bullet Club itself is a numerous number of members.
Yeah. And think of the guys who have ties to the WWE through history, through their families and whatnot. You got Haku's sons, who are the Guerrillas of Destiny. You've got Cody Hall, who's Scott Hall's son. So they already have those ties.
Yeah.
To the WWE. So getting back to the actual match itself, Dale, there were a couple pretty sick spots I saw in this match, especially the DDT from Enzo. Enzo actually showed some pretty good stuff from his moveset. He dove off the apron and he nailed Carl Anderson with that DDT down there on the floor.
I thought it was a great sell job by Carl.
Yeah, and then also, I saw some pretty funny spots there in the ring. There was a spot, I believe, where somehow, I believe, Enzo was supposed to be almost like the one who was supposed to be launched into to Gallows, and somehow, I almost want to say, Cena, he wound up in Cena's arms, and Cena caught him, and then he kind of did that thing where Cena kind of rolls and then he gets back to his feet or something. And then next thing I knew, I think someone came off the top rope and wound up inadvertently hitting Gallows. So it was kind of like a little hit and miss going on there, I believe, between the two teams. Yeah. So I mean, there were some interesting spots, but yeah, Cena hit the attitude adjustment from off the top, and he came down with the pin on AJ Styles. So yeah, definitely, like you said, another chance for Cena to get a win here. I'm quite sure, at SummerSlam, I'm looking for AJ to go over at SummerSlam. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking AJ's going to get the final bill when we get to a SummerSlam. I did want to hit on one more moment from Enzo that I thought was great. It was when we had Anderson and Gallows in the ring, and it was just Enzo, and he kind of does the stand up to them, and Carl runs at him, and he kind of ducks out of the way, and Carl goes into the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
So that was pretty.
And
good
that's just Enzo being Enzo right there.
Yeah. And then
that's about the best way to describe that.
And then obviously he killed on the mic beforehand, and I thought that Big Cass showed a little bit more mic skill improvement at the beginning of this match. I thought his promo was a little bit better.
Cass, he's not bad actually. He's a lot different than Enzo. He's not as animated. He's not as humorous. He doesn't have like the punchlines and whatnot. It's a little bit more dry. But I think if they gave him the chance to shine a little bit, yeah, he can get it done on the mic. And like I said, I just can't get over the fact how much every time I look at that guy, I see a spitting image of the late Andrew Martin, Tess. I see Tess with more personality. Because they're about the same height, about the same size, except for this guy just has a little bit more of his, the ability to be able to connect with the crowd and everything. So moving on here, let's talk about Charlotte and Dana Brooke versus Sasha Banks, the boss, and her mystery opponent. Now, you had this one pegged.
I had a pretty good
said that it
suspicion,
was going to be Bayley, right?
And this was kind of why I left her out of the draft. But we can get into more on my thoughts on that. Mm-hmm. Let's just break down the match here, which I thought was pretty good. Nice way to start the show.
Yes.
It was kind of a interesting,
good opener,
and I'm glad that they did it. Is to put the women in the opening match segment. Again, it's a good highlight to them because the first match of the night is one of the marquee matches of the night because it's always the one that's got to get you into the show.
Yeah, you got to get the crowd going, and they were able to do that. I saw some nice exchanges between Dana Brooke and Bayley, and they were not holding back, man. That double clothesline spot, that looked snug as hell. Okay? I'm telling you, I said, when I saw that one, I was feeling that one all the way out here in Connecticut. No, they brought it. All four of them did. And of course, Sasha was able to, secure the win for them by delivering the bait statement. Yeah, I'm very glad to see Bayley get the opportunity on the main roster. However, we're getting some mixed opinions here as if this is actually going to be a one-off for Bayley, or if she possibly, by making this appearance tonight, that means she's going to continue to be on the main roster. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, only time will tell on that one, but definitely it seemed like the reaction was that it was just a one and done. I definitely think she deserves to be up there, but obviously time will tell. But definitely love the match. Glad that the women got to be spotlight of the opening match of the night, and also not surprised that it was Sasha that got over on Charlotte, because I believe that we are headed for the one-on-one women's title match at SummerSlam.
Yes, I'm quite sure that's what we're going to see, and that's going to tear the roof off the mother, as they would say. So moving on to the New Day versus the Wyatts. Getting back to this whole thing that these guys had going on from a couple weeks ago here, the whole battle at the compound and the spoofing, one another kind of thing, even playing upon the fact that Xavier Woods was maybe possibly under Bray Wyatt's spell. We got to see a little bit of that tonight, especially in Xavier Woods' interactions in the ring with Bray. It kind of looked like he was scared stiff, at first there when he was in the ring with Bray. And then, there were some tads in and tads out and whatnot. And then a little bit later on, towards the end of the match, he kind of snapped out of it and he just went to a flurry and started unleashing, punches on, even the biggest guy, Braun Strowman, and on Bray himself. So this was kind of intriguing here. I mean, what's your thoughts on this, Dale?
Yeah, as I brought up a little bit during the club match, this one was interesting to me just because it was the final night, obviously, of the Wyatt family with Braun Strowman. Even though Rowan and Bray were drafted separately, they might still be able to mingle together. And then I know that we had both kind of were hoping that we were going to see the return of Luke Harper in this match, and then thus we get the 3-member Wyatt family back again, and then Strowman, who I think was kind of maybe just a throw-in a little bit when he kind of came in, could go back and in towards a singles push on Raw, whatever that might be. But we didn't get Harper, so that's a little bit of a bummer there. So now I'm not quite sure what is to come of the Wyatt family, and maybe this is the moment when Bray finally steps out again by himself. But doesn't go backwards this time, because I know that he stepped out by himself and then called home Harper and Rowan. Maybe this time it is Bray all by himself, and it will be interesting to see if they try to push him more in the face role than the heel role, because it's the oddest thing for him to be a guy who's supposed to be getting booed to have the Firefly entrance.
My goodness, like I said, Bray is literally one of the most over competitors in the WWE, and he's altered his look a little bit here lately. I brought this to your attention. You had said that you noticed it a couple weeks ago. His hair is different. He's dreaded out his hair. His gear is a little bit different than like before.
Yeah, he's wearing some skinny pants.
Yeah, he's not wearing the sweatpants anymore. He's not looking like Earl, guy from PWD there, Dustin Ardeen, with a beard nowadays.
Let's go a little bit more Rob Zombie. How about that one?
I like the Rob Zombie reference more. But no, the other thing is, I think Braun's finally going to get the push that he does, was supposed to get back around WrestleMania 31, because originally it was rumored that he was going to go over an Andre Memorial Battle Royal, and that wound up going to Baron Corbin instead. So maybe they're finally looking at giving him that solo push over there on Raw. And then, like I said, it's really kind of up in the air what's going to happen with Luke Harper once he returns. But we know that we at least got Rowan and Bray over there. As we know, Bray actually wound up hitting Xavier with the kiss of death, known as Sister Abigail. And
I was so glad that the Wyatt family got the win.
Yeah, because they definitely needed that momentum more so than the New Day, I feel.
And I was also bringing this up, too, because the New Day set the record for longest title reign for tag team champions. And I was like, man, their title reign feels a lot like Dean Ambrose's United States title reign, where I was trying to count how many times they defended the championship.
Yeah.
I was like, well, they did technically defend it before, in the pay-per-view before Battleground, but man, it just seems like they're constantly in the 6-man tag team matches without the tag team titles on the line.
I said the same exact thing. Yeah.
And then we get on to this. They're now the record holder for the longest reigning tag team champions, and I was like, they're not defending the title.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to stand by that record when you're not actually putting the straps on the line. But moving on here, talking about belts being on the line and whatnot. So, Dale, mark this day on your calendar, because I'm about to say something here that's going to be kind of difficult for you to digest, but it's true. I actually enjoyed Rusev's performance against Zack Ryder tonight.
Wow. Did I lose the hearing?
I will say it once again, loud and clear, for all of those who are listening to the No Gimmons podcast. I enjoyed Rusev's performance on Battleground versus Zack Ryder. And I will say it once again, and I'm going to say it in a different way. Zack Ryder brought out the best in Rusev. Okay? I think if you put this guy against some reasonable opponents, he's actually not horrible in the ring. He's got, some decent power moves and whatnot. he's got his version of the camel clutch. That's all the accolade is. It's basically just a altered version of the camel clutch that he's using as his finisher. He's got a little bit of like some martial arts strikes thrown in there, some of the kits and stuff and whatnot he uses. The guy's not the worst worker, in the WWE. It's just I just think he has just such a goofy look, but his look has even kind of been altered a bit lately. He still has the pseudo Jerry curl going on, but the new kind of militant look that he's got with the I think it says the U.S. champ and it has like the military print and whatnot. That's a little bit of an improvement over what he used to wear to the ring. So. You had said from some of your observations, what was Zach looking like out there tonight?
Well, I'll have to hand it to Michael Cole. He brought it up that Zach said his ring gear was inspired by Sting, Macho Man, and the Ultimate Warrior. And I know that we debated on this back and forth
exactly
for a while,
where the Warrior inspiration was at least,
and trying to find out what the Ultimate Warrior inspiration is. I believe it was in the tights.
Yeah.
And it's like you kind of have to understand and do your research on the Ultimate Warrior to find the attire that you can compare it to.
Yeah, because he had Sting's coat. I believe Sting wore that when he was the U.S. champ. I want to say that might have been during like one of the Great American Bashes.
Yes, yeah, I do believe that they brought up Great American Bash.
And then he had
Macho Man glasses.
He had kind of a eclectic look going on there. But Zach, there's no doubt the guy can he can carry a good match. And he definitely has a good connection with the crowd. And like I said, if they put Rusev in some more matches against some quality opponents, I think he could actually put on some decent stuff out there.
And then, lo and behold, at the end of this match brings up my thought about how you could be drafted separately, but maybe still a tag team. The odd appearance and debut to the main roster of Mojo Rawley.
This guy has got so much energy. It's infectious and it's just absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, I don't know how that guy doesn't get blown up by the time he's actually in the ring.
The only thing to me, it just comes off a little weird for this to be the moment that you show to the main roster audience, Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder. Because to the main WWE audience, Zack Ryder's been a solo guy, and to the NXT is like you have to have followed NXT to understand his tag team background, where it's fared a little bit better, but kind of around the same lines, really. With the Hype Bros.
Yeah, it was interesting. They kind of just had him kind of come out and get in Rusev's face after the match concluded, but there is no real establishment of the Hype Bros on the main roster, so. Yeah, they're just kind of leaving to the fans that they've watched some NXT to know what's really going on there. So, now, I believe it was JBL who made the statement. He said something along the lines of, someone called the sheriff because these two guys just stole the show. Now, we know what match this is leading to here. And I promised a friend of mine that I was going to do this. So, D, if you're out there listening to the No Gamers podcast, I'm giving you a shout out because I know that you're a big Sami Zayn supporter. This match was awesome, okay? I'm going to put it on record here and say I think that this match might have actually possibly stolen my choice for match of the year between Zayn and Nakamura. I think this match surpassed it.
It's just so crazy to think. I was glad that Sami Zayn finally got the win because I believe he deserved a win.
Long overdue.
Because that's the thing. It's like you're about to say that Sami Zayn is in arguably the two best matches of the year. And if he had not won, you're talking about he was on the wrong side of the match with Kevin Owens and Nakamura and their 1 and 2 matches of the year. That doesn't make any sense. So I was so glad that Sami Zayn won.
Yeah. And when he took that bump, when he was going for that like a springboard moonsault to the outside, I originally had thought that he had injured his neck. So luckily it was not his neck and it looked like it was his right arm, but you could just tell that guy was in legit pain. He was struggling out there. And it's kind of funny because, where we're at in 2016, we know that it's sports entertainment. We know that, there's communication between the guys and whatnot. But I'm literally sitting there listening to Kevin Owens, and I'm listening to Sami Zayn having a full-on conversation trying to work through that. during the match. And he could have just melded in. But they stayed on pace and they kept the action going.
You know what, though? It's like Sammy doesn't mail it in. It's like, hopefully he didn't. I want to say it's the same one that he has had the problems with in the past.
It is. It's the same one where he had the issue in the match against Cena in Montreal.
Yeah, and that's just things like, and he finished that match out, too.
Yeah. No, this guy, he's got guts.
I'm just hoping that it doesn't knock him out as long as he was that time. But that is just the thing. It's like Sami Zayn. It's just the heart that guy has.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just
to take the severe shoulder injury and then keep going, and it's not like just keep going and do a ho-hum finish. It's like to bust it.
No.
And just absolutely make sure that no one forgot that match and basically made it almost impossible to follow.
Yeah, and I mean, you want to talk about Suplex City. Some of those over-the-head suplexes that he was throwing on Owens were just painful.
And the suplex on the apron.
My goodness. And it's funny because I think I heard another reference to an old-school wrestler, to Dirty Dick Murdoch. I don't know if you remember him, Dale. He might be a little bit before your time. That guy had one of the sickest-looking brain busters in the history of wrestling. That looked more like a brain buster that I think it was JBL who made that reference there to that move on the apron. And we know, me and you know very much from our time in the ring how hard that part of the ring is. It's very unforgiving. So that was a brutal bump that Kevin Owens took there.
Yep. So absolutely 5-star match between those two, which we all expected it to be. And now the question, I do believe this is going to be the end for them. Which it kind of seems that it's a shame that it was at Battleground and not that they could have saved it for SummerSlam.
Yeah, but they just couldn't.
We'll see. There might still be more with them because obviously they both got drafted to the same show, so I think we haven't completely seen the end with these two.
And it's kind of funny, too, because this is the first match that I've seen of those two where Kevin Owens showed some little sliver of compassion. That whole little spot there where they're kind of slapping the hell out of each other, and he's telling them to stay down, don't make me do this to you, kind of thing. Kind of like, let me just put you out of your misery. Why are you making me prolong the agony kind of thing? Just stay down. I just absolutely love that. But it's just like, up until now, though, it had always been Kevin Owens just pretty much, I'm going to put you out of your misery. I don't care if it's long. I don't care if it's, short or whatnot. He just never ever showed any sort of real compassion in matches. So this was definitely a little change of pace here. That DDT, I guess, where he was diving through the turnbuckle there, and he got caught with that super kick. Wow.
Oh yeah,
so many good moments in that match.
Yeah, was when he went for his patented jump through the ropes for that DDT, and Owens
tornado
was
DDT.
Coming. Yep, fantastic.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, definitely the match of the night there. And like I said, the potential match of the year candidate. So let's talk about Natalya and Becky Lynch here. So Natalya goes over. This feud between those two continues. So I'm not really sure. Like I said, I'm just not really in to this feud for either one of them's sake. Like I said, I don't really like the fact that Natalya is being portrayed as kind of like the backstabbing heel. I am a fan of Becky Lynch, but I just think this is kind of just like a little time filler here until they can find something, for each one of them to do. Your thoughts on that, Dale?
I'm not quite sure on this rivalry. I do believe it is exactly what you kind of said. It just seemed like they wanted to give Natalya the heel, kind of the angry old-timer gimmick. It was like where she just was so tired of losing.
Yeah, and basically now she's tired of being nice, and now she has to be, a heel basically in order to get some respect.
And it is kind of interesting that Becky Lynch lost when, if you go by what Daniel Bryan said in how SmackDown Live thinks that Becky Lynch is the best female talent, and she goes and loses at Battleground to Natalya, who is also on SmackDown Live, but
yeah. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Not everything in wrestling made sense to me. I just try to make sense of it all. So speaking of things that don't really make a whole lot of sense, Dale, I got to ask the question here. Was there an actual winner in this match tonight between Miz and Darren Young?
No, there was not.
I didn't think so.
It was a double disqualification, which was a little confusing because it was never announced.
Yeah, there was no official announcement, and they had the whole little crazy, thing going outside of the ring there where Miz slapped Bob Backlund. I think one of his teeth came flying out of his mouth.
Maurice gave the Bob, good old Bob, the slap. Maurice gave Bob the slap. Then she fell backwards and said that Bob pushed her, and that's what got the Miz outside the ring.
Right.
And then Darren Young comes up and puts him in the crossface chicken wing.
In the crossface.
And that was it.
Yeah, I expected more from this. And like I said, I'm actually an advocate for Darren Young. I want to see this guy do well in his career. I want to see him go far. I just don't know. Like I said, the interactions between him and Bob Backlund, they're funny. They are funny. But it's just like I want to see this guy succeed. So I'm hoping that they can get this thing going on the right path for him. But I know you're a Miz guy, so I mean, there's got to be part of you that's probably happy that he retained the IC title. Am I correct?
A little bit. I can't say I don't dislike seeing the Miz. Thinking that we'll see Darren Young and the Miz again as we go towards the SummerSlam.
So that wraps up our Battleground pay-per-view review. Dale and I, we both agreed that this was a pretty solid overall effort by the WWE here. We got a very good triple threat match there for the title. We got to see the return of Randy Orton, who's been off screen for about 9 months at this point. We got to see some teams that, are going to be split up here pretty soon due to the draft, and also an excellent match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Also some further storyline building as we get closer to SummerSlam. So thanks for tuning in to this episode of No Gimmicks Podcast. Please subscribe to us on our official YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook. Also follow us on Twitter. And look out for my my little LinkedIn updates on my account, my personal account there on Monday afternoons. Until next time around, this is Todd Smith out here in Bristol, Connecticut. And for my boy Dale Clifford out there in Burlington, Nevada. Y'all take care.